Welcome everyone to a brand new box office breakdown show here at Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinenberg. Today, I'm breaking down the box office of this past weekend, which was May the 8th to the 10th, 2026. Look at the overall numbers, both domestic and worldwide so far this year, and tell you about all the movies that are hitting theaters this weekend. So, welcome back to Max Talks Box Office. I'm Max Dinenberg. Before we get started, hit that like button, guys. It really helps support the channel, gets out my videos to newer people. So please, please, please hit that thumbs up or a like button down in the comments. Really means a lot to me. And without further ado, let's get into this past weekend's box office. Again, I'm sorry I missed last week's episode. I had so many TV shows to kind of cover last week, and I really wanted to focus on my coverage of the finales of those three shows. So now, back to my usual routine of covering the box office for you guys on a weekly basis. So let's talk about the domestic box office of this past weekend, which I said was May 8th to the 10th, 2026. And at number one this past weekend, once again, is The Devil Wears Prada 2. In its second weekend, only dropping 45.8%, racking up 41.6 million for the 3 day. It is up to 143 domestic and 431 for its worldwide total. Devil Wears Prada 2 is already $100 million better than the first film did in its entire run 20 years ago. This movie truly is a phenomenon. I think a lot of people thought Mortal Kombat 2 would be the number one movie of the weekend, but Devil Wears Prada wins by $3 million. And I think a lot of people thought, with it being Mother's Day this past Sunday, that a lot of families, mothers, would be going to the theater to see this movie to celebrate the holiday. That seemingly is what happened for Disney, who has a major summer coming up, including Mandalorian Grogu later this month. But only a 45% drop with a big IP movie coming out against it in its first weekend is really amazing. So Devil Wears Prada 2 can only go up from here. I wouldn't be shocked if you hear rumblings of them wanting to do a Devil Wears Prada 3, because this is an insanely successful movie, that this is the growth you want to see in a legacy sequel. There was interest, but again, the first movie wasn't a box office success. More or less, it was a cultural success. A lot of people that I grew, who, I was four when the movie came out. A lot of us grew up watching that first movie, and here we are now 20 years later, getting a chance to watch the second one in theaters. But the story of the weekend was that Mortal Kombat 2 was not the movie of the weekend. It was at number two with 38.5 million. The more alarming number for Mortal Kombat is that it's only up to 60 million worldwide. It only opened with 21.5 internationally. So again, the first movie, which came out in April of 2021, only made $85 million worldwide. And you said, how can that movie get a sequel, right? So let's go through it. Back in April of 2021, I know a lot of people out there want to forget these dark times in our world, but in April of 2021, the movie theaters were reopened a month before. So basically, we're 1 month into movie theaters being back opened after an entire year of all theaters across the country being closed. Then, a part of Warner Brothers led a strategy 6 years ago, where all of their movies that were going to release in theaters in 2021 were also going to release simultaneously on HBO Max. And this movie only had a 30-day period in theaters, even though it's again already available to watch on HBO Max in its release. So it fought all of those things. And that is why Warner Brothers still went on, made a slightly more, $25 million more expensive sequel 5 years later. Now, again, Mortal Kombat 2 was supposed to come out in October of last year. But Warner Brothers thought that this movie would be a massive way to kick off the summer movie season, estimating at least a $45 to $50 million opening. And that is why they moved off of October, which when they moved, there was really no competition around that time. And they moved to the second weekend in May. And it seems like that has backfired for WB, because I do think Mortal Kombat would have been a much bigger hit in October. But what also doesn't help is it's coming off of the heels of two massive hits to really start the summer movie season with Michael and Devil Wears Prada 2. And for people who've already been to the theaters for those 2 weekends in a row, a lot of them are probably going to take this weekend off. And that's probably what happened. Now, again, 38 million, I don't think is a disastrous opening for this movie. The more of the disaster for this movie is internationally, it only having 60 million in its whole 3-day weekend worldwide. That is not very good. So the budget for this movie is $80 million. So it needs to make around 200 million just to break even, and it is $140 million away. So I do think the alarms are out for Mortal Kombat 2. Another horror movie is hitting theaters this weekend, could knock off Mortal Kombat 2 as well. The audience scores were worse for this movie than they were for the original 2021. So this franchise could be up in the air as I keep talking about the box office with you guys over the next 2 or 3 weeks, I would say. At number 3 is Michael from Lionsgate in its third weekend, only dropping 30% in its third weekend. Another 37.9 million for Michael. It is up to $581 million worldwide. Yes, this truthfully is a monster success. You are now hearing rumblings that they will get time to film part 2 of Michael. A lot of things are up in the air because a lot of speculation and reporting has been that they already filmed nearly half of that movie, but that deals with a lot of the allegation and stuff with Michael Jackson. So we'll see how long it will take to eventually get to a Michael 2 if Antoine Fuqua is brought back to direct it. But no doubt, it is definitely not just taken over movies and the theaters, but even if you go to like these streaming numbers for music, Michael Jackson's music is back in the top tens of many music charts across the world. So it really has, this movie really has rejuvenated the legacy, I think, of Michael Jackson. Someone, when he died, obviously, there's a lot of things. And over the last decade, I would say, a lot more controversies and legal issues have been coming out against him post his death in 2009. And especially with that documentary, I think it was 6, 7 years ago, the Finding Neverland documentary on HBO. But here we are in 2026, and here this guy post death has gone through a lot of ups and downs post his death as opposed to his legacy has never been more popular since I've been alive, I would say. So very, really impressive stuff for Lionsgate. At number 4 this past weekend is The Sheep Detectives from Amazon MGM. It opened at $15 million domestically, which I think is a pretty solid number for that movie. It opened to 27 million. Now, this movie does have a $75 million budget to it, so it does need to make around 188 to break even. I don't think it will get there, but the word of mouth is very strong for The Sheep Detectives. I still think, at least for me, I was not even expecting this movie to make $15 million. A lot of people, including myself, really did not like the trailers for this movie. I really was going to assume many people were not going to give this movie a shot. But look, Mortal Kombat 2, some of these movies aren't the most, let's just say, family-driven movies. Like Devil Wears Prada, Michael, these are not like quote-unquote family movies. So Sheep Detective slides in here with 15 million. I think is pretty solid. Now, do I think the budget is very high for this movie? It certainly is. I just don't know how this movie's going to make up money. Probably won't even get close to its break-even point. But the word of mouth is strong. We'll see if that strong critic, but really now audience word of mouth can lead it to a successful second weekend. We will see. And right in the top 5 this past weekend is the Billie Eilish concert movie. Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, the tour in 3D. This is the Billie Eilish concert movie, directed as well by James Cameron, opening to $7 million. Paramount Pictures International is the studio head for this movie. The budget was only $20 million. Overall, it's made 19.6 worldwide, opened bigger internationally than it did domestically. But again, cheap budget. You have the James Cameron, Billie Eilish movie. I think the fact that they made sure that this movie needed to be seen in a premium format. Obviously, they were leaning heavy into 3D, but it had IMAX screens. It had some Dolby and Prime screens as well. So again, the premium screen aspect of Billie Eilish's movie, I think really helped it get into this top 5. Again, we're seeing a lot more concert movies hit theaters. Sometimes they're just plain concert movies, like for like sometimes it's a behind the scenes concert movie, like we got with Taylor Swift, Beyonce, just a concert movie, like a filming of her concert. We have like The Moment from earlier this year, which is an actual movie, even though Charlie X is playing herself. And here we are with Billie Eilish with James Cameron. So we're definitely seeing a lot of artists try to get themselves into theaters. Well, let's move on to the domestic numbers so far this year. Super Mario is at number one with 412 million, finally off the top five list domestically. Project Hail Mary is at number two. Michael already at number three, excuse me. Hoppers at number four. Devil Wears Prada 2 at six. Scream 7 at seven, of course. Goat at eight. And Wuthering Heights at number 10. So let's move on to now the worldwide numbers so far this year. Super Mario Galaxy is at 940 worldwide. So again, I don't think this movie will get to a billion, but again, I did compare this movie to Minions 2. Because remember, the first Minions movie cleared $1 billion. The second Minions movie got to around like 950, 970 million worldwide. Still, unbelievable success, just not another $1 billion movie. That's what we had. The first Super Mario movie got to a billion. This movie's going to get right below, but still monster success for Universal and Illumination. Project Hail Mary is at number two. Michael is at four. So already three American movies, $500 million already. That's a really good start to the year. Devil Wears Prada is going to join them very soon. It's at number five. Hoppers at six. Wuthering Heights at seven. Scream 7 at number 9. So let's look at the movies that are going to be hitting theaters this weekend. The biggest release that is hitting theaters this weekend is Obsession. This is a new horror movie. There's two potential sleeper horror hits hitting theaters this month. Backrooms towards the end of the May, but Obsession. Curry Barker directing it. He got Texas Chainsaw Massacre off of this movie. A lot of strong early buzz. We'll see how it does. It has early advanced screenings for fans at 7 o'clock on Wednesday, and then the theater hits theaters this Friday. Is God Is also hits theaters this weekend. It's a big ensemble. Sterling K. Brown, Vivica A. Fox, Chanel Monáe. That movie hits theaters this Friday. And then the last movie hitting theaters this Friday is the new Guy Ritchie movie, In the Gray, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Henry Cavill, Isa Gonzalez, Rosamund Pike. Not distributed by a major picture. It's been sitting on the shelf for a pretty long time. It's finally hitting theaters now. We'll see if Guy Ritchie can get any more damage to the box office as well. So what are you guys' thoughts on the box office? Let me know down in the comments. Like this video. Also, guys, please subscribe. It would really mean a lot to me. We're 40 subscribers away from 500, the biggest milestone ever in my YouTube career. Please hit that subscribe button. I do movie, TV show reviews, out of theater reactions, this show. Subscribe. See you guys soon.